Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast Magic is Real. I'm Shannon. I'm your host. I'm a psychic medium. And this is the podcast where we talk about all things metaphysical and spiritual with a focus on near-death experiences and other spiritually transformative experiences. Today, my guest is Emily Kady. Emily is a beautiful human being. Emily is an intuitive like me, a psychic medium, a channeler, a spiritual mentor, if you will. And Emily had a profound experience. She had a near death experience that really shook up how she felt she was moving through the world. And I would love to have her share that with you. So, Emily, welcome to Magic is Real. Thank you for carving out time to be here for me and for our listeners.
Oh, Shannon, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here for you as well as your listeners. I appreciate the community that you're creating, especially at this time that we all need extra support and extra magic.
We do, and we couldn't do it without one another. So it takes all of us to come together. I would love to hear about you and your background. Anything you like to share in terms of your spiritual journey?
I grew up in a family that spirituality didn't exist, a religion didn't exist. We weren't necessarily atheists, but it was both my parents had been raised in very strong either Christian or Catholic homes. And so when they came together, they were like, we're not going to push this on our kids. We're going to let our kids figure it out for themselves. So I, being a very curious soul, did end up going to church because I wanted to learn more. I also had a lot of experiences with spirit as a young child. I could see them, I could hear them. They were constantly talking to me. At nighttime, they would come into my room. And so I would literally run out of my room in the middle of the night because they would be all in there and I didn't want them to be with them. And I'd run all the way through the house to get to my parents' room. And I'd rather sleep on the floor in my parents' room than to be in the room with all the spirits that were in my room. I also, at probably about the age of 7, I had heard, or I kept hearing multiple voices at once. I used to always hear them. They'd converse with me throughout my childhood. But when I would hear like multiple, I'm talking like 30, like schizophrenic type of stuff. And I remember saying, guys, you can't do this to me. I cannot concentrate. I don't understand what you're all saying at the same time. And they stopped. It happened a few times. And then finally, I want to say the third or fourth time it happened, I was like, stop, stop. You're making me go crazy. Now I'm a little kid and I'm like, you're making me go crazy. They went silent, totally silent. And they didn't return until I was 19 years old. So, but in that time that they went silent, I wanted to go to church. I wanted to connect with friends, or I wanted to, just explore what was church about because my family wasn't into it, but my friends were, their family. So I started going to church with some friends and I would go to church camps or I'd go to youth groups. But I remember being told multiple times, not just once, if you don't accept Jesus into your heart, you're going to go to hell. As a kid. And I remember feeling a lot of shame and like feeling awful that I have to accept Jesus, but I'm here. Why why do I have to accept him? I'm here to learn. And I felt judged because my family wasn't. They weren't churchgoers. But I remember, I think I was probably 12 the last time I had heard that. And I was like, I don't belong here. If this is what they believe, then this doesn't feel good to me. It never felt good to be told that. So I left the church. And then when I was about 19, I became a massage therapist. And I had some amazing experiences with hands-on working with my clients and having spirits like coming out of my clients as I was working with them. I like entities that were attached. I didn't know what I was doing though. I had no clue. All of a sudden I'm having, clients sitting up, they're sound asleep on my table, and then all of a sudden sitting up with wide eyes and seeing spirits coming out of their bodies. And it's like, oh man, okay, I don't really know what I'm doing here. So I kind of exit that profession because I wasn't I wasn't ready for that. I had a gift and I didn't know how to use it. So, fast forward to 20 years ago, I met a man. We got married, and I started to share a little bit about my spiritual beliefs and stuff. But he came again from a Christian family. And he shut me down and was like, I want to rephrase that. I want to tell you, I've had 3 near death experiences in my life, and there is some brain damage. So I sometimes say things and it comes out wrong. So, or it doesn't make sense. So, if I catch myself, I will rephrase it. So, that I don't want to put all blame on him because it's not all him. I have to take responsibility for myself here. I shut down my gifts for him to make him comfortable. And so as we were together, we started going to church. I was going to church again. And I loved the worship music. Oh my God, it would transport me somewhere else. It just is so amazing. But again, I found that they were taking me down this path of like a lot of judgment and a lot of criticism. And all of a sudden, I found myself judging my own family. Like, I was like, oh, they're full of demons or whatever. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is my mom and dad and my sisters. What am I talking about? This is not who I am, and this is not what I want. This is not how I want to live my life, judging my own blood. And they're good people. So I remember one day going, this is not Jesus. Jesus is about love and forgiveness. And I am about love and forgiveness and not judging people and being critical of people and their walks, that everybody has a different walk. So at that point, I had decided to leave the church and start to reconnect with my spiritual gifts at that point. So that's my I don't know, background in the spiritual realm.
So many people I interview that have had near-death experiences already were seeing spirit, already were communicating with spirit very obviously when they were children. So that leads me to wonder, I don't even wonder, but I'd love to know what you think. There's definitely a reason why you had these near-death experiences, because you were given clues, not even clues, they were obvious. You were already seeing through the veil. You already had this connection. I'd like to ask you too, did you have a near-death experience as a baby or, okay, I'd love
Yeah,
to
I was the
hear,
first
yeah.
one. Yeah, I was about 18 months old, and I had an ear infection that I was running a really, really high fever, and then I stopped breathing. I ended up in a hospital tent or an oxygen tent in a hospital for about, I think it was like 5 days or something. I don't remember any details on that. I just know that that happened to me, and that caused a lot of brain damage. So I had learning disabilities growing up. I couldn't learn in the conventional way at all.
You would never know, but that's the
Yeah, well,
thing.
if you saw me in school as a little kid, you would know.
Oh,
Yeah, so
really?
yeah, so I couldn't read or write. So it was very challenging as a kid, but that was the first near-death experience causing.
Yeah, that to me, I know that not everybody who is a psychic medium or sees spirit had a near-death experience, but I would say almost everyone that I've spoken to, for example, we had our rat guy come to the house, my roommate and he went into the room where the rats reside, and he said, there are spirits in here. And I said, how do you know that? And he said, because I see them and I hear them. And I said, really? He didn't see, you would never know looking at this guy, he's just like Jesse
Average
the rat guy.
Joe.
He's just like Jesse the rat guy. And
Right.
I said, did you have a near-death experience when you were a baby? He said, how did you know that? I said, because it's like statistically, I just keep finding it more and more. He said, I did.
Interesting.
And I said,
That's
I'm
really
just starting
fascinating.
to see this pattern. So anyway, I wanted to know what you think about that. But yes, so obviously your brain is healing enough so that you're
I
functioning and
work on
you're,
it. I work on it every day.
yeah.
I have for the last 15 years. Yeah.
So let's cut to your next near death experience, if you would, or whatever you feel is, I don't want to
Yeah,
Or
I mean, the
to
next
share what you
one,
don't want to share, but just,
I don't mind
yeah.
sharing them. The next one is not as, the last one is the one that really was a catalyst for me. So I was 16, got my wisdom teeth pulled. Was put under general anesthesia. I remember before going to get my wisdom teeth pulled, I was supposed to take some, I think it was like an acne medicine or an antibiotic. I don't remember. I was supposed to take some sort of medication. And I remember going, don't take it. You're going to have complications. Don't take it. Like just that thought dropped into my head. So I did not take whatever that medication was that was prescribed to me. Go in to have this procedure done. And somehow the doctor let me, the dentist, whatever, I don't know what they're called, let me out of discharge and recovery too early. And my mom's driving me home, and we live in, Northern California at the time, up these mountain roads. And I just remember feeling really awful and telling her, can you please let me sit in the back of the car? I just need to lay down. She goes, no, 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 I need you to sit up here with me. And she said, I just all of a sudden stopped breathing.
Wow, how scary.
So she had to pull over. She gave me mouth to mouth to bring me back. And I slipped into a coma. The ambulance came and they were trying to resuscitate me. It took them a while to get me back at that point. And then, yeah, I don't have any memories of any of it. I just was in a black space. That's all I know. And I just remember the EMT pounding on my chest, trying to wake me up. I wouldn't wake up. And that I remember that part, and I'm going, stop, that hurts. So that's about it. But the last one happened in 2000. I'm sorry, did you have any questions? I don't want to.
Nope.
Okay. The last one, which had the most impact on me, was in 2015. I'd been married to that gentleman I was telling you about earlier. I had two very successful businesses that I ran and operated. And I was going to a medical procedure of a very sensitive system. I got an injection of a pain, whatever, I don't know, lidocaine, whatever it was. And it was a simple in and out procedure. However, my body rejected it. And I immediately went into a grand mal seizure. I don't remember. All I remember is sitting in the doctor's chair going, I feel awful. And I'm trying to tell her I need help, but nothing's coming out of my mouth. And then all of a sudden I popped out of my body. So I went from this awful feeling to complete euphoria. And I'm just in this very expansive, euphoric state. And I'm just so happy. I just am like, I don't know what happened. I had no concept of me being in the bad. It was like the complete disconnect. But it just felt so good. I'm floating up in this space, and there's, the tunnel, a black tunnel with the white light at the end and a silhouette standing in front of it. So I'm literally floating towards that, and I don't even know what's going on. My brain can't even comprehend any of it. I just felt good. It's feeling unconditional love on a cellular level. It was like every single cell of your body is lit up with just love. It's the most amazing feeling. And as I'm going towards this silhouette, I love to use the example of here you are in the spirit realm, and it's love, and there's no fear, and it's peaceful and expansive. And if you were down here in the 3D realm and you're in a dark alley with a light at the end of it and a silhouette standing in front of it, instantly your body would contract. Instantly you'd go into fear. Instantly you'd be like, how do I get out of this? Whereas up there, you're just like, I don't know who's at the end of this tunnel, but there's no fear. It's such a beautiful experience. And so I'm floating, and then I realize, oh, I'm transitioning. No fear. Just cool, I'm transitioning. I'm going to the other side. And then a thought came across my mind. Wait, my mom, my dad, and my dog are going to be devastated when they find out that I died. And I'm an empath, so I always have felt everyone's feelings, always considered everyone before myself because I could feel their feelings and I didn't want to cause pain on people. And as I'm transitioning and I had that thought, all of a sudden I felt wholeness for the first time in my life. it was whole. I didn't feel that grief or that pain for them. I had the thought, but I didn't feel it. And it was like so empowering to go, gosh, their pain is not mine to worry about. Not that I don't love them and I don't care, of course, but I was given at that moment, I don't know how to say this best. I was given the understanding how we run these codes of false identity here in the 3D realm. So when we transition down under earth, we go through the veil of separation. And in that moment, we take on all of these facades and we run these codes in our nervous system, in our minds, and our energy field. And they create experiences that aren't really truly who we are. And so in that moment, I'm realizing I am running this code of I have to protect people so they don't feel pain, or I'm not worthy enough to live my truth. And I'm running these codes my whole life and I had no clue. And they're literally imprinted into our DNA. And it's not just a subconscious mind, it's in our blood, and it's passed down from generations and past lives. It's all of it. And we carry it here in the 3D realm. We don't carry it in the spiritual realm unless we choose to. So I'm seeing that. I'm also seeing 3 timelines of seeing how long my loved ones are going to be in crippling grief. And seeing that they're not going to be in crippling grief the rest of their life. They would have it for a period, but they would be able to process it and be able to still enjoy their life. And so I was like, that's amazing. They get to experience something. Yes, grief is awful and it's painful, but it's part of our human experience. And it was something that was going to actually help them evolve as souls to go through it. And I saw it all, and I saw how disempowered I had been my whole life and how disempowering I was, creating disempowerment for them by trying to protect them, having that codependency. And so in that moment, it was like everything didn't matter. And I just was like, everyone has their own journey and I can transition up. So I continued to go up. And as I was going up and floating towards that silhouette, a soul, a spirit, I don't know, came at me full force as I'm floating. And it's so slow. It's really slow. Like it felt like I was probably up there for probably 2 weeks or 2 months. It felt like a long time, and it probably was 2 minutes, if that. And so I'm floating up and this spirit comes at me at like such a fast speed, comes right at me and pushes me right back. I'm like falling backwards, and then I fall right back into my body and come back into my body and wake up, and I'm like, I have no clue who I am. I have complete amnesia. I don't know who this doctor is. I don't even know what a doctor is. I don't understand this like confining like office exam room. The body's confining. Nothing felt good. And that's when I came back, and I was like, it just felt awful to be back, to drop back into this 3D. It took me, I would say 15, 20 minutes to really understand who I was and that the doctor was not going to hurt me. I still, like, I want to say at one point I lied to her and told her, yeah, I know who you are, but I really didn't know who she was. Because I was so confused, and I was like, I was just trying to assimilate, who am I? So I was like, yeah.
It's such a common thing that near-death experiencers express that death isn't, well, I'm not going to say death isn't painful, because in some cases it physically is. But
it is before you die.
Before you die. But that the actual process of leaving your body and crossing over, as we call it, is actually wonderful. And that's not the hard part. That's not to be feared. What's hard is coming back into the body after remembering who you are and returning, quote unquote, home.
Yeah. And
so after this happened, how did you assimilate?
It took a while. I never have fully assimilated. I'm not the same person I was. So I came back. Within 6 months, I left my husband. I had wanted to leave my husband for 7 years before. And right after that, I finally was able to, like, because I had had a seizure, I lost my driver's license. So I lost my independence. I lost a lot in that moment. And my brain just was on slow mode, like as slow as for months. So I left him as soon as I was able to. I had no connection to him at all. My businesses, and they were both 6 or 7 figure businesses. They were really successful businesses. I let them both go. I was not connected to them, and I saw how I had been running the codes of not having worth, trying to prove myself. And so I created, because of my learning disabilities, I created this facade that I had it all together. So I started these businesses to prove worth to everyone else but myself. I wasn't living for me. And I knew I had to walk away from them. And I did. I walked away from them, and I started on my journey to who am I and why am I here? Like, seriously, why are we here? We're supposed to create money. We're supposed to, we have to create money to live here. But I knew I was supposed to be doing something different, and I didn't know how that was all going to shake out. I really didn't. So it was a journey, and I would say 4 to 5 years after my NDE, because it's like any spiritual awakening or NDE, if your nervous system can't handle it, you come back and it's really hard. And my nervous system couldn't, because I was running all these programs and codes of like trying to prove myself. So it was just misfiring constantly. And so when I came back into my body, it took me some time to really get back into like a rhythm of who I am and be comfortable with myself.
Yeah, I really relate with your story about before your near-death experience, doing what everyone else expected you to do, or acting for other people, or even changing ourselves. And that often happens in relationship. I was just speaking to someone about that. It's not to blame the other person. It's just inevitable that when you are sharing a life with another person, you typically want it to be comfortable. You want to accommodate what they need, which is compromise. And sometimes we make ourselves smaller, even if the other person doesn't ask us to. We just a friend of mine said, I look at pictures of me and my ex and I'm like, it doesn't even feel like my life. I said, me too. And it's not any kind of insult to him. He didn't make me do anything like you touched upon. It's just that in order to compromise, in order to fit better, we sometimes lose ourselves while we're trying to accommodate another person's needs, just inherently. It's just what happens.
It's those codes we're running. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they're running them too. They're running their own. Right. So we're connecting on this dysfunctional level that is not really empowering either party.
Right. Mm-hmm. So after you dissolved your businesses or got rid of them, what did you think you were going to do? Or what did you feel called to do? And what were you doing day to day?
Yeah, so I left my ex with my dog. Okay, so remember I said when I transitioned, I thought of my dog and my parents. I didn't think of my...
Yeah.
I left with him, my computer, my car, my clothes, and that was it. I didn't take any money. I was like, I'm out. Mm-hmm. I just needed to go. And so I found a place. I was just trying to get it back into my rhythm. But I still had my businesses for a little bit until I closed them down. So those sustained me for a bit. And then as I closed them down, then I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to make money because I didn't have a savings. And I went back into what I had done before in my businesses, but just for another company, because I was like, oh, this is what I know. I got to make money. And so I went straight back but I was a consultant. And it's so fascinating, Shannon, because when you are removed from a situation by the universe, or you choose and then you go back, the universe is going to remove you. if you're not meant to be there. And you can listen to the whispers or you can wait until they kick you.
Yeah.
So, but here I am single. I have to take care of myself, and I've got to figure this out. And so I'm a consultant, and within probably 90 days of working for this company, and I had exceptional experience at what I did, they demoted me because of my spelling errors. Remember, I
Wow.
said I had a learning disability. So when you work in the corporate realm, there's this expectation that you have to produce and, at a certain level. And I would get stressed because I couldn't handle that workload. And I would make mistakes with my spelling. And so I got demoted, took a huge pay cut, took a huge hit in below to my ego, but it was a blessing in disguise. It really was. It was embarrassing in that here at the time I'm in my 40s, and these, to me, they were kids, these young adults in their mid 20s to early 30s were outshining me. And I had far more experience than they did. But I had some challenges that I had to figure out how to overcome. And I wasn't meant to be there. So I navigated that position for a few years because, again, I was in fear. I didn't know how to take care of myself. I knew I needed to go in the spiritual realm. I really needed to do a deep dive. So at that time, what I started to do in the demoted position where I took this huge pay cut, I found three things every day that I was grateful for with that job. Every day I was just like, even if it was just little things or, people I work with, whatever it was, I found three, instead of focus on the negative, I found three things. And I made a commitment to meditate every day for a minimum of 30 minutes. So I would take a lunch break and I would meditate. And within, I would say, a year or two of doing that, all of a sudden they laid me off. Because I wasn't willing to leave. I needed to leave, but I didn't. I got comfortable. And so, but again, that's the universe working with me because I got too comfortable. So I got laid off, but it was great because I got a severance package. So that gave me some room. And the moment they laid me off, because I had been working on my nervous system, I had been working on my mindset, I was like in gratitude. I wasn't in fear. And I was like, this is amazing. I can't wait. I got to figure out a new job. So I'm going to go create a new job of what I want in the spiritual realm. I'm going to go find somebody that is already established in the spiritual realm, and I'm going to go work under this person. I got two jobs in 3 days of getting laid off, working under one of them is a pretty well-known spiritual mentor, and the other one was an up and coming. And she was an astrologer. And so I got instantly placed exactly where I was meant to be, working within the spiritual realm. And so that it could help groom me to get back into the confidence of starting my own business.
I love that. During this time, were you aware of guides or and loved ones communicating with you? What was your experience like day to day in your interactions with the spirit world?
Yeah, so I always am talking to my guides all the time. I always have. But yes, after my NDE, I leaned heavily on them. They came in stronger, definitely. I can hear them audibly. I can hear them talking to me. They show me things visually. So I lean heavily on them. And they are the ones that told me, stop, because that demotion really hurt my ego. And they're like, stop. You need to focus on what you're grateful for right now. And so that they're the ones that really helped me turn from the victim to being empowered and finding like just gratitude and having a job.
Yeah.
I could have been let go.
Right. All right. Well, I would love to know what it is that you do with and for your clients.
So I work on a DNA level. I hypnotize my clients And in my hypnosis, we go into the subconscious to find out what is blocking us. Because like me, with that job that I was holding on to, and I just didn't have the confidence to go out on my own, there were subconscious loops that were blocking me. So we go into the subconscious, find out what's blocking, and then I work with my galactic team. I have a galactic team that I work with that we clear trauma on a DNA level. And we go in, so it's not just we're helping reprogram the mind, the subconscious mind, but we're actually going into the DNA and reprogramming that. So it's kind of like it's like I feel like I'm working on a computer and removing old programs, creating a clear slate, and then putting in the new programs that my client wants. And so it's reinstalling like confidence or, weight loss or stop smoking or whatever it is, release the trauma that's connection to that story of the trauma that's been holding them hostage for so long, so that they can really start to step in and live the life that they've chose to live.
Do you have examples? I know that there is obviously client confidentiality, but do you, off the top of your head, have something anecdotal that you'd like to share about how this work might have helped even you or somebody that you know or one of your clients who wouldn't mind you sharing the benefits of what you do or their experience or your experience with this type of healing?
Yeah. So I have a few different client stories, but I'm trying to think of one that is the most, that will stand out the most. Give me a moment. So one of my clients came to me a few years ago, extremely depressed. She had gone through incredible amount of loss in the year prior, and she could barely get herself out of bed. She was just hanging on by a thread. And another one of my clients said, "You need to have an appointment with Emily. She's gonna help you out." And I never, I just am a vessel. I allowed the divine frequency to run through me. So this gal came to me, and she started working with me every week for a year. Within 3 months, she changed. She was filled with joy. She was just like, she had never been so happy in her life. And she had like all of a sudden this independence. And she was like, I'm ready to find my husband. I am so ready to find this soulmate. And so once we could get her to a place of allowing the grief to run through and that she could step into her joy, then it was at that place that she could, do you want to take care of it? Okay. That she could find love. So I work with a lot of people that want to have their soulmate. I call it soulmate because I really believe that there's a lot of people that we connect with on different levels. And she was ready, but she wasn't. She was ready to the idea. So we worked even deeper and went deeper and deeper with her on doing more healing and self-love and clearing out the old, there was so much generational trauma that had been passed down. It wasn't hers. So we spent time clearing out all of that trauma and reinstalling new codes for her that to help raise her frequency, to help raise herself, that it wasn't like this codependent find a relationship. It was, I love myself. And by her falling in love with herself, then she started to run this new frequency out into the field. And it was so fascinating because she changed so much, and she's running this frequency of love that she didn't need somebody. But she, had a desire to have a companion, but she didn't need somebody to fulfill her. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So she started to put it out there, and then all of a sudden, these men would pop in, and some of them would be the same as her past relationships. And she'd be like, "Why is this guy coming in?" And I'm like, "You're still running some old codes." So we'd have to keep clearing. And, sometimes it takes some time, and that's okay. This is like lifetimes of codes that have been, been embedded into us. So we'd start clearing it. And then finally, she started to meet guys that she kept raising her frequency and vibration, and she started to meet guys that were just like higher up, and they were never a guy that she would ever have interest in before. And now she's like, oh my gosh, there are so many amazing men that are sensitive, they're emotionally available, they are secure in themselves, they don't have to, show off. And she's finally meeting the right people to connect with. But the biggest thing to me is she fell in love with herself.
And that's why it's a vibrational match, because when you love yourself, water seeks its own level. If there are those old codes of not being able to receive, not feeling comfortable receiving, not feeling worthy, you're going to keep, as I said, water seeks its own level. You're going to keep finding partners that don't have self-esteem themselves, or don't think a lot of themselves, or don't feel worthy
Right?
of you,
Yeah.
etc. So
Yeah.
that's what those codes are.
Right, exactly. And we just are radiating them out into the field, and the universe just mirrors back what we got. So, yes.
Yeah,
It's
that's so exciting. When you work with the guides, I guess, your galactic team. When you're working with a client, what is your process? Are you sort of seeing images, or do you just leave it completely to spirit in terms of, okay, I'm intending for whatever the blocks are to be cleared, or are you also psychically tapping in and being able to see
Oh, yeah.
things that maybe you didn't even speak about with the client?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I could see it. I can hear it. I can feel it. I can feel it in my body. So I see what's going on. And I'm always going in with what they can handle to be cleared, because sometimes you could do too deep of a clearing that can be a little harsh. They're not ready for. Their nervous systems aren't ready. So I'm tapping into their energy field on a constant basis. I'm going into the quantum field to see what's going on in the quantum field. I do a lot of clearing of energy in the quantum field too, because if the quantum field is murky from all of the lifetimes of pain that we've lived and trauma, it's really hard to help bring things in that you want. Like, I have clients that they want to bring in their soulmate, or they want to bring somebody in, and I can see them in the quantum field, but there's too much dense energy in between them that they can't. So I'll go in and clear that out to help so that they can get into an alignment with each other. So, and they are able to meet when they are at the right vibration.
Yeah. Do you also, I assume, do you still do mediumship readings as well?
Not as much. I don't. Because I don't know. I don't know why. My guides take me in a different. They've taken me in a different direction. Spirits come through, and I can do it,
Yeah.
but it's not what I specialize in. But there is a mediumship reading that I did do that I want to share with you, if
Oh,
that's
please
okay.
do.
Okay, because you're a medium, so
They're
you'll
my
get this.
favorite. I can't get
They're,
enough of them.
they are so beautiful, and good mediums are like amazing.
It's so cool.
I know, it's amazing. So, I had this one client, she came to me, and she was like, do you see my mom? And I'm like, so her mom had passed, like, I don't know, 20 years prior. And I go, yeah, I see your mom, but she's like in purgatory, which I'm not Catholic, but purgatory is like they're confined.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, I see her, but she's like in this damp gel cell. It's cement, cinder block walls with a metal bed. There's no blankets, there's no mattress, and she's just laying there cold. And my client's like, why is she like that? Well, the mother had abused her, the
That's what
daughter.
I assumed when you said
Yeah.
that. Because, yeah.
And the mother felt guilty, so she had put herself there. She didn't have to,
Yeah.
but she put herself there. And so I was explaining this to my client, and I said, well, you, if you don't want your mom there, if you can find it in your heart to like really, really forgive her, your mom can actually ascend. And she goes, I don't know if I could forgive my mom. She was pretty evil. And I go, I understand. And then I taught her about the grace of piety and like understanding, like seeing your mom as the soul, not the person.
Yeah.
And understanding like she had her own wounds that she was navigating, and she didn't do a good job, but there's something more to her than what you experience. So I taught her on that, and then I said, I believe you can forgive her. And she comes back to me a year later, and I go into her field and I see mom again, and I'm like, mom is in this pink like room that is very healing and filled with love. And I'm like, gosh, I see your mom. I go, last time I think she was like in a cell or something, right? And she goes, she was. And I go, yeah, now she's in this beautiful pink room and she's like just in this deep, deep healing space right now. And she says, thank you, Jenny. Thank you for allowing me to heal
Yeah.
and forgiving me. And I go, you forgave your mom? And she goes, yes, because you told me I could, I did. And she goes, it took me 3 months.
Yeah. I'm really glad you spoke to that. We do talk about it a lot on this podcast, just about not that you don't have to forgive somebody who hurt you like that. You don't even have to, none of it. You don't have to do any of it. And of course, you're allowed to be angry, hurt. Who wouldn't be? And
100%.
also, it's, if we can, separate the person from the soul. I mean, if that's kind of the challenge, right? Is that the soul itself isn't inherently evil.
Yeah.
It's the human it goes into, the trauma it experiences in that body that leads to either repeating that same behavior. It's trauma, mental illness, indoctrination. The human doesn't know what it doesn't know. It is not an excuse, but it is an explanation. And I can't say that I would find it easy to let that go either, because I'm sure you think they ruined my life. I mean, what could I have been had I not been abused? And yet, I really try to even look at people who I have resentment towards or who have been horrible, and just remember they were once a little kid. First of all, they were once a little kid, so I don't have to have compassion for the adults. I have compassion for the little kid that was hurt, or I have compassion for the fact that the soul is just doing its job, having a human experience.
Sometimes those souls also, I believe, come here in agreement with us to have that experience so that we can do some deep, 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 deep healing.
I agree.
And I know that's a really hard thing for people to understand and accept. It. It's not for everyone, but I do believe, like, for me, my life experiences, the hardest experiences I have gone through are the ones that have given me the greatest gifts.
Me too. Me too. That's why I actually have thanked the people that hurt me the most, because I know that our souls agreed to have that experience together, and that without them, I wouldn't have sought support or therapy or whatever it was I needed to heal,
You
and I
wouldn't
wouldn't
be
be
who
where I
you
am
are.
today. Exactly.
A
Yep.
hundred
So I
percent.
think, yeah, I think that's really important, and I know it's hard to swallow. So,
I will say this though, one of the tools that I use, and I want to share this too for your listeners, is those moments that it's really hard to forgive somebody that's betrayed you. And I've been there. It's I ask my guides to forgive them for me because I can't.
yeah,
And it's so fascinating. It's happened a few times that I've had to do this, and I'm like, I will be on my knees crying, like I can't forgive them, but I know me not forgiving it's like drinking poison for myself.
yeah, exactly.
It's holding us back. You had said earlier, just a few minutes ago, about how, having this anger towards somebody that betrayed us and they've ruined our lives. Well, that is the experience I was shown in my near death experience. That is the disempowerment. Those are the codes, the agreements, the contracts that have been embedded in us. And the longer that we hold on to it and connect emotionally to that story, the more disempowered you are. And so it's keeping you on that loop that you don't want to be on. So learning how to forgive, even if you can't, having your guides that forgive in for you will help you. Because it took me, I know one time in particular, it took me probably 3 months before I was like, oh yeah, I totally forgive that person.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like, great, like you said, grateful. Whereas when I first started asking my guides to forgive through me, I was like, I hate this person. I don't hate
Yeah.
anybody. But in
I
those
know, but
moments, you're
it's
just
easy
like
to feel
raw
that
and
way.
just
Oh yeah.
angry and like, yes, yeah. So yeah, it's just amazing to, and then once you release it, it's like, whew, you feel lighter and it's like, oh, cool. What was the silver lining in this ugliness?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In your near-death experience, you said it felt like there's no time in that realm. There's no time period. We just it's a human construct that we make to make sense of things and to get things done that we have to in this
Exactly.
world. I mean, it'd be pretty chaotic if we didn't have time. But
Hmm.
considering that time actually doesn't exist except in the aging process, I understand, you had a lot of revelations, and were they more sort of by osmosis, or were things actually explained to you, or were you shown things that were like, here's an example of this, or did you kind of come back with more of a knowing, just
A
kind of being,
knowing.
yep, yes.
So what I've been told, and I believe myself, is that I actually had a partial walk-in. So when that spirit came at me, it literally infused in my body, and it was more of an a ascended aspect of my soul because it wasn't my time to go.
Mm.
But me in that moment, that past girl, she was so depleted. She had nothing to give. There's no way that girl could be me today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the same person. So
Yeah.
yes, there's just this knowing, and it comes in. It keeps like my journey just keeps evolving. It's not like this is how it is. No, it just
Right.
evolves and it changes and it grows and expands and contracts and it goes back and it's just truly an amazing experience.
What does life look like for you today? What does it feel like today?
It's so fun. I'll share this really crazy story if you're okay with that. Okay.
I love stories.
So recently I was told I had 60 days to leave this house I'm currently sitting in into May. I got 2 weeks left here. And again, I've been in this house for 7 years, but I'm in Southern California. I don't want to be in Southern California. I want to be in Northern California. I need to be near trees. I need to be more in nature. And to me, Southern California is a really densely populated area where I live. There's just concrete and desert and palm trees. And I'm like, and there's the ocean. And I love the ocean, but I need like woods. Just that's what fuels me. So I've been wanting to move. And last time I was up in Northern California, which is like it was beginning of May, I'm driving back home and I'm like, this is kind of embarrassing to say, but I'm literally counting all the U-Hauls that are driving to Northern California. And I'm like, that's going to be me soon. That's going to be me soon. That's going to be me soon. And so it's an 8 hour drive and I'm counting. So we get back and that's right, like a few weeks later, we get this notice that we have to leave. And we live in this amazing neighborhood. Like I know all my neighbors. Like I love this neighborhood. I can walk into town. There's certain aspects of this town. I mean, this town's a great town that I live in. So I'm devastated because I'm like, I'm leaving my neighbors.
Yeah.
I'm leaving. And this house, I'm like, I've been here for 7 years and I lost my two dogs that I love so much in this house. And there's just like all these things. And so I spun into fear and I let those fear codes, the 3D codes, take a stronghold of me for 2 weeks. And then finally, after that, because if you allow the emotion to run and you connect to the story, the emotion in the story, there's a chemical release. And that runs and you can't stop it. Once it's released, it's got to run its cycle. So it took me 2 weeks to run that cycle. But once I finally flushed that cycle out, then I could clear my mind and be like, oh my God, I get to create whatever I want. I'm so excited. And there was a pause. Spirit's like, don't look for a house. Wait. So that was 2 weeks of me spinning out, looking and trying to find an apartment, freaking out, freaking out, freaking out. Wait, okay. So I'm like kind of looking for a home, but nothing's clicking, nothing's clicking. So I go into the quantum and I just immediately focus on what I want. I know it's not the time to move to Northern Cal. I know that. I got to be more strategic and smart with that move. I could have connected to that timeline and gone into the Northern Cal, moved up there, but it just didn't feel right. My partner, he owns a very successful business here in this town, and I don't want to leave him, and I don't want to ask him to leave his business. So I'm being very strategic, and I'm going to work. We're going to work together. We have a plan. So, but I'm like, okay, we got a 2 year plan here. And I go into the quantum and I find this house that I want. I know exactly what I want. I'm like, I don't know how this is going to happen, but I see it. And then I feel myself in that house and I stay in that house and I'm like in my mind's eye, I'm in that and I'm like literally running the codes of what it feels like to be in this house. And it's expansive, it's creative, it's joyful, it's secure, it's beautiful, it's everything I want. And so, but I'm like, I'm not hearing Spirit's not saying it's time, but I'm still looking. I'm looking and nothing's showing up. And then finally I'm like, okay, Spirit, I have to find movers. Like now I'm up against the clock. I'm not going to go stay at an extended stay. What am I going to do with all my stuff? That's really disruptive. I need to find something. And so last week, we go and we look at this apartment and I'm like, this is fine. This works. We're only going to be here for a year. It's good. It's good. And the apartment's not ready. It keeps getting pushed out the date. I love the magic of working with the universe. So and I'm like, oh, this is happening for a reason because I was going to sign this contract and it wasn't going to be ready for a while and it kept pushing out, pushing out. So then I go and I look at a townhouse and I'm like, yeah, it works. Okay, we'll make it work. We'll sign that. We'll apply. We get denied. And I'm like, how did we get denied? And so I'm like, all right. Well, I guess I don't know, Spirit. What? And then I go back into the quantum. I'm like, this is the house. But as soon as we walk in, my partner and I, we're gonna look at each other and go, this is it. Because we'd walk into someone, he would say, yeah, I like it, and I would say no, or vice versa. This one, and I'm like, it's gonna happen. We're gonna see it, and go, yep, it's home. Thursday last week, my partner found a place. He's like, hey, do you got a few minutes in the middle of your day to go walk through this house? It's less than a mile than where I live right now. And I'm like, yeah, I can run over there. We walk in this house and we're like, this is it. We just got approved for this house yesterday. So it's just being in the quantum, trusting the universe and really pulling in what you want. And not going into fear. Now, I went into fear. And if I stayed in fear, I would be in an apartment that I would absolutely hate. And it wouldn't allow me to grow as a soul. It would have been a different growth experience. It would have been survival versus being in the 4D or 5D of expansion and creating the life that I want. And we all are capable of doing this. I've done this a few times. I had a time in 2008 and I lost my home. And I was able to pull in $1 million home, ocean view, that I lived in rent free for a whole year.
Oh my goodness.
So we can all do it. It's just being in gratitude and really knowing what you want. You have to be crystal clear on what you want. I got everything I wanted, except for one thing. One thing didn't get. But everything else checked the boxes. Whereas everywhere else we were looking, there was a lot of compromise.
Yeah.
And
I have
so,
a million stories like that of my own. So what I'm nodding along, I'm kind of exactly where you are, where I can see things lining up and I didn't have to do anything, except I kept seeing this vision. And it doesn't mean I'm not doing things to get there, but it's also, I have said to Spirit, if this is the way you want me to go, if this is in everyone's highest and best good, just kind of, I'm going to leap and let the net appear. And that's how I live my life now. Not without specificity,
no, yes.
but with trust.
surrender and trust. And you're not attached to the outcome. Like, okay, I found this house and I'm like, oh, this is the house. But then I went into spirit and I said, okay, it's this or something better. I'm up against the clock, so we got to make something happen here. But I am not attached to this house. It doesn't have to be this house. And if it's an apartment, great. I'm going to trust where I'm meant to be. But yes, it's that surrender and not being attached to the outcome. Because that's what I didn't want, and I told Spirit this, I said, I don't want to force getting into this house and then it not being for my best and highest timeline. I don't want that. I don't need more hardship in my life. None of us do.
Right.
So I'm not about forcing an outcome. I'm about surrendering and trusting and like really putting the intention out there.
That's beautiful. As we come to a close, what, if there's one thing that you want people to know, what is it?
You are so much more powerful than you realize. And if you can just take a few moments each day to really remove like all the facade that has been programmed into you and just really start to ask yourself, who am I? If you do that every single day, more and more of the wisdom, the divine wisdom is going to start to flow through you and give you some insights and knowledge of who you truly are as a divine essence. And once you tap into that, you're unstoppable. You're literally unstoppable. This 3D world becomes your playground and it becomes so fun.
That is beautiful. Emily Kady, is there anything else you want to share about anything coming up? We're going to have your website below if you would like to work with Emily. I just don't want to leave anything out other than the services that you already provide. Are there any announcements or anything else that you want us to know?
Thank you. I am going to be launching a course. It's going to be a 6-week course that I'm going to go deep into the divine codes and go into reprogramming people's DNA. And it will be a course, so it doesn't have to just be one-on-one. I want to work with more people. So that is going to be coming up probably within the next 60 days. So I'm not sure what I'm calling it yet because I'm working with a source to create it, but I have the whole infrastructure, just a little bit of the
Spirit will tell you.
I know. I'm trusting. Surrender and
I
trust.
didn't know what to call this website, and I finally it popped into my head. I asked Spirit to tell me, and I was like, that's it. That's the one.
I
So
love it. I love it so much. Your
I
name
know.
is so perfect. And it's like, I don't know, to me it's playful and it's also like it gives you that sense that there's so much power here for us. We're not limited.
Yeah. Emily, it's been such a pleasure getting to know you. Thank you so much for being here on Magic is Real, and look forward to seeing what you do next.
Thank you so much, Shannon, for having me. It was a pleasure to be here.